In this video we'll be going over comparing strings. So this is part of the C# video tutorials. So we'll be learning about so basically you can use certain relational operators and methods to compare strings. So you can use the is equal to or basically is equal to operator, which is two equal signs, or you can just say points to, doesn't really matter. So there's no actual method that you need to use. You can just use two equal signs. So that's a little bit different in Java. I don't think you can do that, but in C# you can. So you can just say that you want to compare a string, and it's going to compare them lexicographically, which is based on the Unicode character index. So if you're not sure what that is, you can just Google Unicode, and then on Wikipedia you'll find a Latin index, and it's on there. So you'll see something that says Unicode and then Latin. It'll show you like Latin symbols, letters, numbers, and then it'll show you a numerical index beside those characters and numbers and letters and all that. And for example, the letter Q will have like some random number, like I don't know what it is, maybe like 100 or something. It won't be 100, but it'll be some random integer. And that's the value that C# uses to compare the strings. So it associates every letter with, or character number with a special digit. So for example, we could say that we have a string str, which points to any random fruit or anything. Then we have another string str2 points to another another fruit string. So then you can have a comparison like this. If str points to str, or is equal to str2. Is equal to might be a better way to compare them, because well, I guess it's kind of the same thing. It just depends. Usually I just keep one equal sign. I reference that as points to, and two equal signs I say is equal to. That's the way I usually look at it. You can look at it whatever way you want. It's pretty much always the same though in every language. So I can see this is comparing a string here. It's checking if str is equal to str2, which would mean if they're equal, all the characters would be the same and they're the same length. They're not equal, but in this case we're just going to have a message to check that. So we'll say messagebox.show. We'll say that. And we'll say the names, or sorry, not the names, the fruit strings are the same, because here we're checking if str is equal to str2. So if they're not the same, then we'll have an else case to check if it's not the same. So basically if this one's false, then the else block will get hit. Then we'll say, okay, messagebox dot show the strings are not the same. So that's pretty much how to compare strings. So the is equal to operator compares string 1, or str and str2. So we can have another example as well. So you can compare variables with literals You can basically anything as long as it's a string. So we could have like a string, another string. I'd go with a vegetable or something. Just have it as a string here. So onion, string vegetable points to onion. Then we'll say if vegetable is equal to onion, then you can do something. Whatever you want. You could have some kind of block of code or whatever you need to do. That's pretty much it. So you can compare them like this. You can say if a string variable points to a string literal, and it's the same, or you can just use strings as they are like that. Actually, I think that's not what we did. You could just say if, yeah. Okay, so you're comparing a variable and a string here, or you can compare two variables, or you could really just say if maybe a string is equal to another string, like if orange is equal to plum, like the actual string. I think you can do that. Obviously they won't be equal unless orange is equal to orange like that. So that's pretty much, that's it. So there is a little bit of a code example that we can do. It's not a very long one. Before we have a bigger lab. But let's just try to do this one. So we'll have to create a new solution. So I'll click File, New Solution. It's already set up. I'll just use whatever the predefined settings are. Make sure you're using a Windows Form app. This one here, Windows Forms application. Then create that. May take a sec to start up. Okay. I still need to get OBS Studio. I'll try to do that today. Because my recorder only gets one screen at a time, so I'm trying to get a better recorder so I can get the full GUI so we can debug it a little bit better. So I'm just going to click that button there, rebuild solution, because it says project references are missing. Okay, so it's ready now. So all we need really is just one label, one text box, and two buttons. So we'll just start with the label, I guess. So I'm just going to click Systems. So I'm in Writer once again. You can use VS Code, not VS Code, you can use Visual Studio. It's up to you. This is faster for me, so I just prefer JetBrains software. So here you can click on a label. We'll just put it here somewhere. So we'll change that. Actually, we don't need to change the identifier name. Let's just turn auto size to true. Then I'll change the font size to be a bit bigger. Then I'll change the text property. I'll just say enter a fruit. So that's the label, then we'll have a text box underneath, so I'll just click the text box. Control, I'll click the form. I'll just put it below the label. We'll code this after, so we're just going to be doing coding the event handlers right now. So the event handlers, we'll code that right now, and then after we'll learn how to do the full drag and drop conversion to code. We'll learn how to create the control objects and all that. So here we have, same thing, we'll just, we'll create an identifier for this one. So I'm just going to click the control to get the bounding box up, then I'll click the identifier, and I'll change it to input text box. Then I'll change the font size again to 36. That's fine, doesn't have to be perfect, so whatever. So then I'll click a button. I'll put one button there. I'll change the identifier to check button. Then I'll change the font. Actually, I think auto size, I'll turn on auto size to true. Then I'll change the font to 36. Not sure if that was 36, but actually that's fine. So we'll just go with the text property. We'll change that to check fruit. Then I'll control C that and then control V just to save some time. So then I'll put the button next to the other one. I'll change this button's identifier to exit button. I'll change the font size to actually it's fine for the font size. Just the text property, I'll change that to exit button, or just exit as well. Not exit button, but just exit or close, whatever. So that's pretty much it. We'll go back to the code. Actually, sorry, so just go back to the designer for a sec, double click the check fruit button. Then we'll comment out the exception. So we have private void check button underscore click text parameter object sender comma event args e, or event args event, whatever you want. So we're going to declare a string variable and initialize it with the user's input. So it's just going to be a local string, so we'll say string user str points to input text box dot text property, because we're going to get that string whenever. So this is an event handler, so it waits for an event to happen. So once the event happens, which in this case it's a check button, so the check button is going to check whatever's in the input text box. It's going to convert that to, or it's going to take a string variable and store the value that was inputted into the text box. So in that case, if it's trying to check, if it's trying to run this event handler by basically clicking the check button, and there's no text in the text box, nothing's going to happen then. That's just the way it works, so it doesn't do anything unless there's actual text in there. It's dependent on whether there's text or if there's no text. So if there's no text in the text box, the event handler won't do anything. So here we can just say, we can just pick a random fruit because we haven't really gone over string methods yet, which we will later on. We'll say if user str is equal to blueberries or anything, some kind of whatever. We're just going to check if it's equal to some string. Why is it doing that? It's putting everything spaced out. You don't usually want semicolons out there. That's not sure why they do that. Okay, so that's fine. So if user str points to, it's also spacing out my ifs. That's just the writer auto format. Might be better to turn that off. So if user str points to or is equal to blueberries, we'll call a message box, so message box.show, which is a pop-up window basically, or dialog box. Then we'll say okay. We'll say the fruit is blueberries. Then we'll have an else here, so if the user str is not equal to blueberries, they'll say else. Why is it doing that? So we'll say else message box.show the fruit was something else. So we could run this. I don't think we need to, so we just talk about it. So if we enter a fruit here, you type the fruit, let's say with whatever we type in, blueberries. We click the check fruit button. A pop-up window is going to come up and it's going to say the fruit is blueberries. But if we entered something else like plum or something, then it would say the fruit was something else. And you can just click exit. We can just generate that here and just say this.close, which calls the form to close or exit. That's pretty much it. So other string comparisons, so we'll have to talk about this as well. So in addition to determining whether strings are equal or not equal, you can use the string compare method. So let's just maybe have some notes here somewhere. So the string compare method determines whether strings are equal or not equal. So there's methods you can use to compare them as well. So you can use, I guess in C# you can use the equal sign or this method compare, which basically just uses equal signs and greater or less than sign or greater than equal to signs, whatever. It's a method that has all those basically cases available to check which string is either equal, greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, or not equal to the other string. It has probably some cases or something like that. So you can always create your own compare method to compare some strings. Or you can just use the built-in one, which probably works the best. Or you can just use the equal sign, so it's up to you, the double equal sign. So the string compare method determines whether strings are equal or not equal. You can use the string compare method to determine whether one string is greater than or less than another string. So this can help you sort strings. So computers do not actually store characters such as A, B, C, and so forth in memory. Instead, they store numeric codes, which eventually get translated to binary on the lowest level, which is like 0 and 1s. Different combinations of 0s and 1s represent different things. So in memory they store numeric codes that represent the characters. So C# uses Unicode to represent the characters. So the uppercase characters A through Z are represented by the numbers 65 through 90. The lowercase characters A through Z are represented by the numbers 97 through 122. This isn't really going to help you. Well, I guess it would, but some of it, like, you won't know what all the symbols are and all that. I guess it's information we could write down. So so Unicode Indexer. It's basically like an index. So on the left side will have your a number, and on the letter, and the right side will have a number associated with it. So uppercase characters A through Z are represented 65 through 90. So I guess, aren't they missing one then? So yes, because you might have to check that, because I thought there's 26 letters in the alphabet. That only gives 25 or something. So once you can figure that out, you should be able to get most of them. So A would be around 65, Z would be around 70. Sorry, A would be around 65, Z would be around 90 somewhere, and it would go A, B, C, D in order all the way to 90. So lowercase characters are represented 97 through 123. 0 through 9 numbers are represented 48 through 57. Blank space is 32. You might want to check more of those because there's going to be like other escape sequences such as new line and all that. Tab and whatever, backspace. Maybe not backspace, but tab, new line and all that. The escape sequences. So I think we'll continue this in the next tutorial. So thanks for watching, guys. If you guys like the video, you can like and subscribe to the channel to support the channel. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.